remember I made a video way back near the beginning of the year on our 2023 New Year's resolution, which was to buy more plants. And now it is late November, and I think that I am doing such a good job of succeeding with that New Year's resolution, because I have never been so good at keeping up with a New Year's resolution before. I have a feeling that this resolution might bleed into 2024. So my cactus friends, it's Jenny from Cookies Cacti, and some of you have been asking in my previous shopping videos, what in the world did you take home? Well, my friends, I took home quite a bit. I'm going to be real upfront right off the bat and tell you that I spent $1,368.32. Yes, so either I have been incredibly good about keeping up with my New Year's resolution for 2023, or I've just plain lost my mind. So you can see there's a number of, all of this here. Oh, by the way, I've been rearranging my shade area, so now I kind of have like a little tiny nursery. I might do a tour of this later on, because a lot of things have been moving around. Everything that you see here is what I purchased over the past month or so, starting with the Desert Botanical Garden Fall Plant Sale, then the CACSS Mega Silent Auction, and then I stopped by Arizona Cactus Sales to purchase some pumice, which of course I came home with some plants as well. And then some of you all saw my Plants for the Southwest video. I did not come home empty-handed from that nursery. And then on the way home from Plants for the Southwest, I also stopped by Bach. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and go through what I purchased. You can witness Jenny really losing her mind. Okay, so the boss is here as well, keeping an eye on things. Let's just go in order. Let's start with the Desert Botanical Garden Fall Plant Sale, in which you can see there's some pottery here. Mark Maradian was at the sale, and you can see I took home 5 pots. Let's go over the pottery that I purchased. So I did take home one of his really tall planters here. This one was $140. I bought this because I have a little tiny Welwitschia mirabilis, and someday I feel like it will be able to need or fit into a pot like that. Let me go grab that plant real quick. See, this is my little tiny Welwitschia mirabilis, and folks always plant these into really tall pots, which I don't really know if it's necessary or not, but I'm just kind of following what other people do because they're successful, so why not? So you can see, okay, that's a little deep, but someday I feel like this can go in here. And this Welwitschia actually grows pretty quickly. This is not a succulent, so I actually water it quite often. In the summertime, you can water it like every day. But yeah, this is like the future home for my Welwitschia. Hello, boss. The second pot that I bought was this, what is that? Jaguar? Cheetah? It's got this wonderful stencil on it. And this one was $55, so I picked this one up. I think it's probably about 6 inches wide or so, just by guessing. I don't know what I'm going to put into that. Usually it takes some time for the right plant to come by to find the right pot. Then I bought one of these, I call it like a scallop shaped pot. This is $75. I think it's probably about 8 inches, 7, 8 inches wide. This is one of Mark's signature shapes, at least to me. So I picked one up. I actually have a plan of what I want to put in there. Maybe. I'll show you what it is in just a little bit. And I also purchased one of these from him. This is a little bit different of a style from him. He told me that it's actually layers of different colored clay, and then he would carve out these patterns, and then you can see the layers of the clay. I really like the shape of this kind of, would you say, it's like a bowl or a tray. And this was $125, and I'm already thinking about perhaps making another Aerocarpus community pot in this. I think it would be perfect to fit in here. Those Aerocarpus really like being together, at least from what I've seen so far. Actually, let me show you real quick. Some of you may have seen this community pot in my Aerocarpus video. This was made by AZ Veronica Megs, and I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Aerocarpus in here. They've been in here for a while, and I swear they really love being together. I leave these out in the winter, they get rained on, they get the elements, and so far so good. They just look so nice and plump. They look plumper than the ones that I have in just individual pots. So I want to do something like this. I've got some of these Aerocarpus in these individual pots. See, this like kind of shrunken, not nearly as plump as the one in that dish. So I want to put these guys into a tray. We'll see. And the last pot that I purchased from Mark is this one. This is $50. I just love the feet on here, and I love those layers. So kind of very similar color schemes that I purchased, but he had some darker colored pots, and he just kind of warned me that because I live here in the Phoenix area, those dark colored pots could potentially get really hot if they get any amount of light. So I went with light colored pots. I actually have a Mark Meradian pot that I purchased secondhand from somebody else, and let me show you that one. This is the pot that I purchased from somebody else secondhand, a Mark pot. It's the only Mark pot that I have prior to, well, you know, the fall sale. So I put my Agave Utaiensis that I purchased from I believe the spring sale at the Desert Botanical Garden just this year. That's how I potted it up. I love it. Okay, now back to the haul. Mark's Pottery was charged separate from the sale, so you actually purchase the pots directly from him. You don't check it out with the plants at the sale. So this was a separate charge. With tax, it was $464.64 for the 5 pots. All right, now let's move on to the plants that I purchased at the fall sale. So I took home 5 plants. I did take the Haworthia, which I think is probably a Couperii. I've always wanted this, and this is such a cool clump. So this is $12.50. I've been keeping this indoors right now. Okay, I hear Cookie went inside the house, which means she left the door wide open. Let me go close the door. See. Sorry for the interruption. That's usually what it's like if I'm out here and Cookie's active. She'll just go in and out of the house while I'm here. And she doesn't know how to close a door after her. Alright, let's get back to where we were at. So first was this Haworthia Couperii or Couperii. Second, I took home this Echinocerius nippollianus. It's got a little pup on it. Always wanted these. Or one of these. Hope it does okay with me. Guess we'll see. Next plant I took home was a Parodia. Parodia arenacea. $10. It just doesn't look anything like a Parodia that I've seen before, and that's what attracted me to it. I don't know if these are popular or not, maybe not, but I really like how thick the spines are, so I took this one home. Parodia seems to be doing okay, like Parodia Nodocactus, they seem to do okay, at least with me. Then I took home this Echinophyllocactus Phylocanthus, $10. It just has a look to it that was really attractive to me that is different. You see how sparse the spines are? And then how thick the ribs are. So I took this one home. I don't have many Echinophyllocactus or Stenocactus, I think that they were formerly known as, or the brain cactus. Took that one home, and then I took home the Islaya islaiensis. Oh, I forgot one more plant. got my plants kind of spread out everywhere that I'm forgetting. I took home this Euphorbia astrophora, which if you watched my video, you probably heard me gasping at it. I love the short compact arms. Little baby. This one was the one I couldn't tell if maybe it came from Plants for the Southwest or maybe Peter W. or perhaps somebody else. I always wanted one of these, and these tend to be really expensive, so this is not a bad price at all to get an astrophora. The total for the plants was $65.25 at the Desert Botanical Garden Fall Plant Sale. The nice thing about the garden sales is that there's no sales tax. And if you're a garden member, you get 10% off. So the marked pots did not come with the discount, but the plants did. So that was the total with the discount and without sales tax. Alright, so the next place that we went to in our timeline was the Central Arizona Cactus and Succulent Society Mega Silent Auction, in which I took home just 2 plants. But you can see that the plant that I went nuts for during the video, I did manage to take home. And I also took home this Gymnocalycium. Let's go over this one first. So this is a Gymnocalycium striglianum, which I have never heard of before. I think this was grown by one of our society members. It was sowed December 20th of 2021, so it's just coming upon 2 years of age. And the source of the seed is Mesa Garden. I've never seen a Gymnocalycium like this before. Isn't that cool? Look at the color. Color of the skin. Color of the spines. The kind of chubbiness of the body, which I really love. Let me show you the bid sheet for this plant. This is the bid sheet. You see, somebody started it off at $1, and then I put my bid of $17 in, and nobody tried to take it away from me. So I took this plant home for $17, and at the auction there is also no sales tax, so the money I put here, the money I paid, is exactly the total that was in the end, and all the $17 goes straight back to the Cactus Society. Now comes the next plant. Mammillaria crucigira. Let me pick it up and show it to you closer. Look at this specimen. Look at that fuzz. This is an old plant. And if you watched my Mega Silent Auction video, you would have seen that there were 2 of these clumps at the auction. I did ask some folks after I did my recording later on when I was doing the bidding and paying for stuff where these came from, and they said that it was a local grower or local collector who either is letting her collection go, and I forget, I thought it was a woman, but I'm not sure, so I'll just refer to her for now. But she may have been letting her collection go, or maybe sadly had passed away. That's where I'm not really sure. But this came from somebody's private collection. This is not something that is easy to come by. A clump that's this big, this mature. It's very, very rare. It's got like kind of those owl's eye as it's dichotomizing and splitting. And it came in this pot. I cannot read it. There is a mark on the bottom from the maker. And if I zoom in, let me try to do this. I don't know if this plant has been in this pot for a really long time. That's what I can't tell either, because you can see it's kind of mounding. And the way the soil is kind of weird. What I would truly like to do is to wash off the old soil and then repot it in my own mix, just so that I know what is in the soil medium. But I'm kind of scared to, disturb the plant. Maybe, we're heading into winter, but it's still nice and warm right now, and it's not horrendously cold yet. I might wait till next spring to disturb the plant. I'll just leave it like this for now. Okay, now comes to the bidding. Let me show you the bid sheet, and I'll leave it to you to have your own thoughts about what I did. Here's the bid sheet. And when I won the plant, I posted a picture of this on Instagram, and there were two camps of people that responded. One camp was like, oh my gosh, $300 is a steal for that plant. I would have bid more. And then the second camp was, what in the world were you thinking, and why did you do this? So you can see that the bid started at $1 and then incremented to $30, and then some insane person decided to bid $300 and won the bid. So that insane person was, of course, yours truly. I wanted to make sure I could secure this plant, and I saw some of the much more senior Cactus Society members eyeing this plant, and when they saw what I did here, they just moved on. So in one way, it worked, but in another way, I don't think anybody was probably ever intending to spend more than $100. So I'm pretty sure I overbid by quite a bit, because the other clump went for $50. So I don't know what to say. I guess the only thing I can say is at least that $300 goes back to the club. You know, maybe it'll pay for half of a airplane ticket for a future guest speaker. I don't know. Anyway, this is what I did, and now I have the plant. So these are the two plants that I took home from the auction. All right, what did I do next? What damage did I do next? Next, I took a trip to Arizona Cactus Sales in Chandler, just a few miles away from my house. I originally went to Arizona Cactus Sales for the purposes of buying some more pumice. And there was a second purpose, is that I think Ty did a story on his Instagram post of what they have in the collector's table, and I saw this. So that was actually a week prior, and I was just hoping that nobody picked this up, because after he posted the story, a week later I went by to go look for it. It is an Ortego Cactus McDougalii, which I don't have and I've always wanted, but they're really expensive for a single head on its own roots. This one obviously is grafted, but usually for a head, like a smaller head, is probably about $85, which is extremely expensive, but you know, what did I do here? Anyway. But this one is $40, which is still, it's a decent chunk of money. But for what it is, it's not bad. And it's a beautiful, beautiful specimen. And it makes me a little less intimidated about taking care of it because it's on stock. And it looks like some very hardy stock. I forgot what the stock is. But Ty was telling me that this stock is really easy to take care of and it's very forgiving. So I think I'm set up, hopefully, mostly for success. So this is $40. And then I picked up a couple more plants. This is just an astrophytum, probably a myriostigma. And I already have so many astrophytum that I ask myself, why in the world did I buy this? And it's because of the shape. It's just so chunky. I love this shape so much. And let me go show you some of my seedlings on why I wanted this shape. So here are my own Astrophytum myriostigma seedlings, and you see it's got that very, very classic star shape, but it's not chunky. I really like it when they're chunky. Let me show you their mother plant. See, the mother plant is actually very, very chubby and chunky. I'm hoping that those seedlings can end up being like this. I don't know if they're very star-shaped, ribby. Star-shape is just the characteristic of a young plant. I don't know, but I like it when they're chunky like this. Let me show you another one. These are hybrids. They're also very ribby. They're just not chunky. That one is kind of chunky. So I'm very attracted to the very chunky astrophytum, which is why I purchased that plant. Okay, so you can hear my neighbor's dog. Some of you were leaving me comments about how distracting the dog is, and I'm sorry, there's just nothing I can do about it. It's my neighbor's dog. I can't even see it over the fence, so... Okay, I just stood here and waited for a few minutes to see if the dogs would stop barking. It looks like they've stopped for now. Anyway, So here's the chunky astrophytum I purchased. I think this was $15. And then the last plant I purchased from Arizona Cactus Sales is this Ariocarpus fissuratus Lloydii intermedius. This is $40. Look at this little guy. I couldn't help it. They had a bunch of these little Ariocarpus in stock, so don't know if they're still in stock, but if you're interested in one of these, definitely go check them out or send them a message on Instagram or give them a call. Let me get the totals. I also purchased 3 bags of pumice, which was $20 each, so I included that price in the total because it's just on one receipt. On my receipt, Ty actually gifted me this Ortego cactus, just because from my videos, he said that I've actually managed to bring in customers from locally and even out of state. And so he gave me this as a thank you, which I was just shocked with his generosity. Because I'm making the videos for me, right? To share what I love. And it's not really meant, the primary focus isn't on advertising. It just happens to do that. So thank you, Ty, for your generosity on this. So really, the plants alone was $40 plus $15, so $55, and then there was tax on top of that. So maybe somewhere around $60 or so for all 3 plants because he gifted me this one. But my entire total, including the pumice, was about $110. Okay, next on the list was Plants for the Southwest. So what did I take home from Plants for the Southwest? I took home these 4 pots. Let's start with this one. If you remember in the video, there was a little pile of what looked like Euphorbia obesa. And I was saying in the video I couldn't tell if it was obesa or symmetrica. The majority of those plants were obesa. But I saw that this one just looks a little different from the standard obesa. And Gene came by, one of the owners, and asked if I needed any help. And I asked him, is this obesa or is it symmetrica? And he's saying that he also thinks that this is symmetrica. Kind of got mixed in with everything else. This one was $12.50. This is the first time I have ever gotten a symmetrica in my collection. I also very rarely see symmetrica available in retail as well. Very, very cool. And it looks like it's getting ready to flower. You see those little red dots? The next plant that I purchased is this little mammillaria. This one stood out to me because of its spines, its fuzziness, and the way that it's pupping. It does not have a tag on it, so I also asked Gene what this is, and he said it is most likely Mammillaria tolochii, but you can see that the spines here are kind of sticking out a bit, and usually tolochii have spines that hug the body, and so if you touch the plant it won't stick you, but this one it actually can. He suspects that perhaps there's some Huitzilopochtli mixed in here, but the way that it pups like this and the shape of the plant is totally tolochii. Let me show you a tolochii that I purchased from Plants for the Southwest probably a couple years ago. This one I purchased from Plants for the Southwest a few years ago. So, you see how they're kind of, you see there's a little pup coming out? They're kind of similar but different at the same time. Like the spination is different. See on the tolochii here how tight the spines are? And they don't stick out, so I can touch it, and I can touch it and I won't get hurt. It's got a little bit of fuzz, whereas this one, spination isn't as dense. Let me show you the Crucigira, because really tolochii, Huitzilopochtli, Crucigira are kind of from the same complex, if you will. See, Crucigira, very, very tight spination. You can touch it, it won't hurt you. Anyway, tolochii are not easy to come by, so I purchased this. And let me see how much they charged me for it. They charged me $7.50, and it's in flower. Lovely plant. These are not easy to come by, these. Next plant I purchased is also a mammillaria. This is Mammillaria CF San Angelensis. Also has kind of a little bit of the same shape as the Talakia we were just looking at, but it's different. Jean told me that this is actually from Baja. It's just so unusual. I've never seen this plant before. I didn't even know it existed. Definitely haven't seen it for sale, so I had to pick it up. You might have seen it actually in my Plants for the Southwest video. There was a whole, like a little group of them, and I picked the one with the most pups coming off of it. So cool. And this is $7.50. The last plant that I purchased from Plants for the Southwest is this guy. Let me pick this up real quick so we can look at it closer. I didn't notice this plant as we were recording, but actually it shows up for like a brief moment in the video. When I went back to look at their inventory after I made the video or recorded, that's when I saw this kind of tucked behind. I think it was that gigantic staged fellow cactus. I think it was tucked behind it. This is a Mammillaria estebanensis. And it's also from Baja. Oh great, I just broke the tag. Gene told me this is also from Baja, and he told me that this is not cold hardy, so that if it gets, I think, into the 20s, to put it below like one of my tables to protect it from frost and cold. This one stood out to me because of the color. I don't know if this comes out on the camera, but the color of the body is like a gray-green with a slight hint of blue. It's just so unusual. And then when Gene saw me holding this, he's like, yeah, that's a good choice. This is also something that I have not seen before. It was $45. Couldn't help it. I hope I can keep it alive. I think he said that he has one giant mother plant, and this is one of the propagates from that mother plant. So that's the last plant that I purchased from Plants for the Southwest. So the total amount that I spent at Plants for the Southwest with sales tax was $78.20. My last going crazy stop was at Bach's Cactus Nursery. Bach's Cactus Nursery is kind of on the way home from Plants for the Southwest, and I had still enough time before they closed, so I couldn't help it but go and drop by just to go look around, and this is the result of just looking around. So I took home 3 plants. Let's start with this one first. This one is probably a Thelocactus hexadrophorus, but it has light color spines, which I think I've seen before, but it's also pretty big. This was $14. It's one of those gallon pots that just sits outside, and their whole table is full of gallon pot plants. So I took this one home. I love these guys because of their, I just gravitate towards that gray, green, blue kind of color. I have some thoughts on which pot I want to pot this up in. The next plant that I purchased is this Tephrocactus geometricus. We saw a whole bunch of these at Plants for the Southwest, but I felt like the look of them, I already own. Let me show you the one that I already have. This is the one that I purchased from somebody else. I think it's from TD Cactus on either Etsy or eBay. So this is also Tephrocactus geometricus, but you can see there's a little bit of spines on it. But this one from Bach's has absolutely no spines. I can see a little tiny bit of glochids, but it's so smooth. And what are these even called? I forgot what these are called. They're not pads, they're not balls, there's something else. There's something about it that is more like an egg. I don't know if I can see. It's gonna be impossible. You can see this one and this one. There's just something about it that's different, and it was $50, which is not too bad for something with 2 balls on it, and the fact that it's so spineless. And I felt like we saw more of these in the Plants for the Southwest, their Lithops house. They had stuff that looked more like this, but I don't remember seeing something like this out on the retail display. Anyway, I purchased this from Bach. Like, there's a spine sticking out of my hand. That's what we get as cactus people. And the pièce de résistance is this astrophytum. And it came with this talavera pot. But I actually want to repot this into this Mark Moradian pot. I don't know. I saw it and I couldn't help it. This was $250 for this whole thing potted like this. I don't know what to say. We'll look at it. Yeah. Don't know what to say. So the total that I spent at Bach was, with tax, $333.15. So there you have it, my $1,368.32 haul. Lost my mind. Now if you take out the pumice, you take out about $60, it's still over $1,300. Yeah. Here's my haul. Let's see what happens in 2024. Hope you all enjoyed this. Take care. Bye-bye. I'm back. One more thing. So yesterday I ended up doing some repotting and using 2 of my Mark Moradian pots. So this is the one with the layered clay colors that was carved out. And I mentioned that I wanted to put some Aerocarpus into this, I guess, this bowl. And so that's what I did. This is what it looks like. I'm losing light really quick because it's the evening. And it is Thanksgiving Day today and my parents just took off. So happy Thanksgiving to all of my friends here in North America. Hope you had a good meal and hopefully some good times with your family or friends, or even if you're on your own. Hopefully you've had a good day. So I put 5 of my Aerocarpus in here. And this is planted in my standard cactus mix, so 75% pumice, 25% cactus soil. And then I just filled it up to cover the roots, and then the big old taproot I filled in with like a bunch of pumice and inorganic coarse material, and then I piled on these rocks. And these rocks actually come from my parents' property that I collected quite a while back. So that's what it looks like. Oh, there's another plant here, an Epithelantha micromeris, that kept getting attacked by the thrashers. It was in a pot by itself, and I thought I would just throw it in here so it would have some buddies to hang out with. You can see it really is camouflaged amongst the rocks. So that's what I did with this pot. And then the next plant that I replanted is this giant astrophytum clump. So it was in the talavera pot, which I have empty now. And I repotted it into the that scallop Mark Moradian pot. I reused the top dressing from the original pot here. And then I put in a little extra guy. I think this is an astrophytum hybrid seedling that I grew from seed. I just stuck it in there. Oh, I really like this look. And let me show you something. So when I took this plant out of the pot, I could get a good look at what the soil looked like. And let me show you what the soil looks like. This is the soil that the astrophytum was potted in. And you can see that there's a lot of pumice in here, but there's also a lot of organics. Now this soil is kind of damp because it had rained probably a week ago, and you can see it's still damp. So although there is coarse pumice in here, this is still too organic for my comfort levels, because this is my soil mix. Of course it's dry, but you can see mine is much, much inorganic. So this is one thing that for myself, I tend to like to repot plants from nurseries, especially if they're already staged, just because I need to know what the soil medium is like. One thing that I did notice though when I uprooted the astrophytum is I think it's actually on a hidden graft. Let me put up a couple pictures that I took. So it rained, like I mentioned, it rained about a week ago, and the soil medium had remained wet like this since then. I was really worried that the clump would rot, but then seeing that it's on some hidden stock, that explains why it's still okay. Anyway, just something to note when you buy plants from nurseries, and also if they've already staged it for you, just be mindful of what the soil medium is, because you'll have to adjust your watering depending on what the soil is. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. So here's the final product. I think that's quite amazing. And I was counting the number of heads on here, and I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 heads on this bad boy. I love this too. Alright everybody, happy Thanksgiving. I know this video will be posted after Thanksgiving, so hopefully you all had a nice break, at least those of you who are in North America. Take care, bye-bye!